Good morning.
Wake up, everybody.
Good morning. Welcome to your morning drip. I am your host, Ronin Rock. We have another illustrious, amazing, fantastic guest on the show today. The one and only, the living legend, the godfather, the GOAT, the one and only Coolnutz in the building. What up? Make some noise. Coolnutz in the building.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bro. It's, you know, it's overdue. It's overdue.
Most definitely.
So, you know, I got to sip out of my morning drip mug. Branding. Man, what is up, man?
Man, everything, the world been turning, and I'm running with it. So,
Dude,
yeah.
like it's, I'm gonna say this, and I hope you take this the right way. It's amazing to see the longevity of your career within this game.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that don't stick around just because like the music industry is cutthroat.
Yeah.
But to not only be like, I'm still in the game. You got multiple hats you wear.
Yep.
You have your radio show.
Yep.
You still like rap and tour the country.
Mm-hmm.
You still do a lot of stuff within the community, still within like your music game. You're still putting on artists. You're still breaking artists. You still have your label. Like I mean, what did I not touch on right there? What else? We got the cooking show.
Yeah. Trap Kitchen. Kitchen.
Dude, Trap Kitchen, and isn't there another food?
Oh, there's Trap Private Reserve. That's the cannabis side of it too. So, just been trying to use every platform that we have to create other ventures. So just like you said, even with the community, like pulling together everything, and also do everything from the Christmas tree giveaways, turkey giveaways, feed the people, all type of things that just still correlate to hip hop.
Am I really gonna have to do this to another radio host? You gonna have the mic down here? We gotta put that just a fist away. It's like right here.
You want it right here?
Right here. Just the people gotta hear you, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's why I was asking, because I was trying to position it right.
No, you good. It's funny. Ian does the same thing, and then I on many episodes will be like, so how's everything going? And they just clown me and like, you the one that's always giving everybody, and I'm like, all right, yeah, you right. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, welcome to the show, man. I'm happy to have you on. Like, this is our like special edition, Black History Month. We're going after all the basically like the people that are doing dope stuff in the city, and it's not the unrecognized, because you definitely recognize.
Yeah.
It's more of the thing. It's like we have those pillars in the community that voice is always amplified,
Yeah.
and we have those people that's like, hey, if we're gonna talk about like, you know, the black culture in Portland or anything else like that, it's like there's this only set people, and it's like, yo, those people are amazing. Those people need to be heard. But like, I also want to make sure some of the people that I love and I like, you know, admire and see in the game, like I want to make sure that they're also represented within the space. But you know, you got your voice already on the radio, so you know we ain't stopping on that.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the keys though, is like sometimes we might be heard in certain places,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just from your typical demographic or the people that you cater to, you can also get separated from other places. So sometimes you need that amplification, like you said, in other areas. So I consider it a blessing, bro, to be able to come and do your show, and people look at it like, oh, well, you're on the radio, but yeah, I'm on the radio, but that goes sometimes to one place. A lot of people tune in, but you can never be heard too much or heard in different pockets, because you know there's so many different lanes nowadays, man, with which in the entertainment world, from podcast to radio to TV to social media, everything that you want to cover your bases.
It's crazy because I think back in the day, hip hop to a certain extent was monolithic.
Yeah.
Like it was a thing that's like, yo, if you ain't on BET, you not popping. Hey, like later on it became like, hey, if you're not on this blog, or if OK Player doesn't co-sign you,
Remember,
Source.
The Source was the Bible, bro. Like,
dude. Do you remember Scratch Magazine?
Yes.
Dude, I remember when Scratch came in and they just like messed up the game for a minute.
Yeah.
And people were like, yo, so it's not the Source, or what was the other
Double XL.
Double XL. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, if you're not on one of these magazines or the new Unsigned Hype or freshman list, like you ain't doing stuff. And then Scratch came out and was like, you know what, dope producer.
Yep.
And I was like, it's like Questlove's on the cover, Ninth Wonder and stuff like that, man.
Scratch was I think that's the thing is like, but that's what I'm saying about so many needed angles, because typically Ninth Wonder might not always get the props he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even with Questlove, like Questlove doesn't always get the credit he deserves, even in current times, for all the stuff he's doing.
Dude, people still think he's just the band leader for the late night show.
Come on, man.
Like, it's like you've never heard of the Roots? Like, no, that's just the dude with the afro on the late night show, and he picks it out 2 times, and then he starts drumming. It's like,
nah, there's a whole history to that, man.
Dude, I still wish that Arsenio Hall's show would have worked coming back.
Yeah.
It's for them to be the band on that show.
Yeah.
But, you know, we dreams and hopes and wishes. But, man, so once again, living legend in the building. You've been a part of the fabric, if not like one of the core pieces of it, of the hip hop scene in Portland, like essentially since the beginning, bro. Like you've been such a cornerstone. Like just off the bat, like how did you get started in this?
I mean, the difference for me is and not for me, but a lot of us that are a little bit older than, you know, some of the people now, is that when people talk about the culture, we were living the culture, you know. So even for me, like when you say, yeah, I was there semi in the beginning, but there's people like U Crew, who were, you know, U Crew.
Yeah, we going back.
Yeah, U Crew, who inspired me, you know, and so many other people that were, you know, that were a little older than me, but they were the ones we were looking up to in terms of rapping, but we were living that, like going to school and break dancing in the cafeteria.
Lloyd Center outside that park.
Come on, bro. You know what I mean? Or, you know, or rapping in the hallway. Like, you know, because people don't understand, like, hip-hop evolved from b-boying, break dancing, pop locking and all that into MCing, and what we have now where rappers are the kind of a prominent
piece where it was like you were just the hype man for the DJ.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you are, and it's like, do you have a DJ?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So
we got a DAT tape.
Exactly, bro. And that's the thing. When we started, you know, you had to put your music on the DAT tape, and the DJ was scratching along with the DAT tape. But the culture part was, we were living the culture. We break dancing. You know, when the Pumas first came out, and you getting the fat laces, and you know, or even like with Second Avenue Records in high school, you know, records coming out on Tuesday, and we make a whole day of catching a bus downtown to go to Second Avenue to buy what would be the new albums.
Yeah.
So my experience comes from a genuine place of living the culture, seeing it evolve. You know, the monetary benefits of hip hop business, that wasn't even a thought back then. It was like we didn't know like even all this we see here in the studio. Think about that, bro. Hip hop and culture fueled all of this stuff now to where you have a podcast, you DJing all over the country.
Yeah.
You know, and that's from the culture, which we didn't. I know even when you got into probably start getting into hip hop, you weren't thinking like, I'll be able to make a living at it. You feel me?
Dude, I think it was like Killer Mike or someone along those lines that was like, no, it was Guru. He was like, yo, if I can sit up here and make, and this is back in the day, it's like, if I can make $40K a year off of hip hop, I'm good.
Yep.
Like, that is me making a living doing this. Like, I'll have my side hustles or whatever else. But if I can do that, and I remember thinking, I was like, yo, $40K a year? Like, I can sit up here and do that. And that's like me doing hip hop shows at the hookah shop back in the day. I'm like, they ain't there's no doing this, like, but once I heard that, I changed my mentality of being like, I need to have a yacht. I got to have a boat. I ain't going to have a girl. I'm going to have a harem. Like, I'm going to be doing this. And then being like, oh, word, I could be most deaf sitting on X amount of money and be happy and do what I love every day.
And do what you love.
But then the game got in there, and I know you know about the game probably better than anybody else, like the music game.
Yeah. Like when you talk about, you said earlier about the shadiness of the industry, and I mean, don't get me wrong, hip hop and the music business has been a huge blessing to me in my life and my family. But there's also the ups and downs, the ugly side of the business, the dealing with, because I see you also go through stuff of dealing with clubs and politics of the city and different things like that, to where there's a lot of bumps and bruises you take to be in the music business.
Yeah, I mean, to put it back on to you, bro, like, I mean, you were of an era of a certain type of hip hop. Mm-hmm. And it's a thing that very, like, I think like the coming up portion of my generation, I would say like when I was in high school, so around like 2003, 2004, mm-hmm. it was like that point of like us starting to go out to concerts and go out to shows. Like maybe we snuck out to a couple of shows.
Yeah.
But that being my first introduction into like, yo, I'm going to a show at the Roseland, mm-hmm. and there's 30 cop cars outside of it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just a thing. Like I know there was like plenty of shows that you were like opening up for, like the Roots or Gangstar or Red and Meth or all these things back in the day, where it had to be a thing for you where it's like, so I did this show with E40 and you guys had to sit up here and have 25 officers out here. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But don't let some crazy country whatever star come out here that's got the redneck beat 'em up music and y'all ain't got one.
And the thing is, what people don't realize is those shows have the most firearms at them.
Firearms and the most, like, yeah, the stuff.
People don't realize, like, I was talking to somebody about this, a couple club owners. They're like, people talk about hip-hop crowds. They don't realize, like, the country crowds.
The metal shows.
Yeah, they're pulling up in those trucks with some of, and having to check in guns at the venue and different stuff like that. So it's like, people don't realize. They don't realize it. And it's the thing that it was and once again, we have very few venues that we can sit up here and take advantage of to sit up here and do and express our art. And like I specifically remember Blue Monk, everything that they went through. Yep. I remember like the whole entire reason why we have Hip Hop Day and now Hip Hop Week was because, like, we had to have a conversation with the city being like, not only are y'all just blatantly being racist, but you are also striking at an art form that has brought so much to the city already and create so many culture avenues. And like, once again, like, you're being like a pioneer within that. Like, how does it feel like to go out to San Francisco or go out to LA and do a show with E40 in front of 100,000 people and come back to Portland and be at a sold out show for X amount of days and then be like, all these cops are out here? I think that's the difference in culturally and the entertainment scenes in different cities, I think, or different cities. When you go to the Bay or when you go to LA or even down south, Houston, Miami, or even New York, I think entertainment has been cultivated different in those cities, like nightlife and going out and even black culture, the amount of diversity in those places. And I think that it's one of the things that we always hear about in Portland. Like, there are black people, but I feel like the culture doesn't get the same understanding as in other cities because we don't have the amount of the community is already. I mean, we used to have Northeast Portland. We used to have
a lot of neighborhoods.
Yeah, but all of that got dispersed.
Yeah.
So, I remember, coming up in Portland, and there was the like, we'd have the hair show and the Players Ball. Big shout out to my guy Tater Mayer. And then Geechee would have his beach blast, and people would come from Seattle. And
dude,
yeah.
You remember back in the day when Portland was such a musical hub, especially for like hip hop and even especially with DJs and different stuff like that, that people would come up or come down from Seattle, or whatever, from Seattle, come down here to like spend their weekend because they're like, yo, Seattle ain't got nothing.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference. Is like, I think Portland peaked in that independent music era before the internet, where during that real organic time of music, when, you know, like I said, like the CD record store music era, when we had La Luna and stuff like that. Seattle peaked in the internet era, like when you saw like artists like Macklemore come out and really just blow the roof off of it. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Portland had that time of where it was such a great city, like venues, like, you know, like, bro, when downtown was popping, the Greek cuisine and the Red Sea, multiple clubs and that, and you could go out and be downtown in that whole area and be moving around, and it's like Barbades, and even before they what is it, District and all that was in there, like
Harlem.
Yeah, Harlem and all of that.
It's crazy to me to think that like the music scene in Portland, we didn't go out on the weekends.
Yeah.
That there was so many things going on during the weekday that'd be like, yo, word, there's the Fix, there's this other thing on Wednesdays, there's this thing on Mondays, Mellow Mondays, like all these things.
Was Someday Lounge.
We had the Fix.
The Fix that was at Someday Lounge. The Fix was at Someday Lounge.
So we had and it would just be like you could go down to so many things throughout the week that wasn't on the weekend. That like the weekend was massive. That was the Crown Room.
That wasn't during the weekend though either, was it?
That was the weekend. That was on the weekend.
Was on the weekend.
Massive was on the weekend, but that was even like that was like later.
Yeah,
like I'm like it's just weird to think like Tubes Days and like different stuff like that.
Even
like,
the Red Sea.
Man,
Red Sea on what, Tuesdays or Wednesdays or something, or Thursday. The Greek cuisine, or even if you go back to man, what was it on 122nd?
The open mic night?
No, the stay. They had the man.
Not Club One.
It was off one. Man, why I can't? I'm gonna kill myself not remember this. But jamming, it was during the same Greek cuisine time, and right there on 122nd and Halsey, in the parking lot where the Taco Bell and the Winco is. They had a Tuesday night there that was crazy.
This might be a little bit before my time.
This was because you were around in the Red Sea era and Greek cuisine era.
No, I was just after. I was a little bit of the Greek, but like because I started at the Fix. Like the Fix was when I was like freshly 21.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that would have been you would have just, it was transitioning. The Fix was coming, all of that stuff was coming. But like you said, those were all weeknights. Like,
but those were such legendary nights that I heard about it like in my time of things. Yeah. And it's like to talk about that time, we got to talk about one individual, and I know that you were super close with him, Star Child.
Yeah.
And I know that like the you and Star Child coming up within the things, because it was basically if we made the Mount Rushmore of hip hop back in the day, it was you, Star Child, OG1, Juggernaut. There was other people within that were definitely like DJ Chill and everybody else. Like there was definitely other individuals. But if I had to make my Mount Rushmore of like those were like the staple people, that's what it would be for me. And like even like later on, I would say then it would be Lifesavers and then Lightheaded. But you guys were the Mount Rushmore, and if I'm correct, you did the first video with Versatile in it.
Yeah, for what I'm about. Yeah.
Can you try to find that video real quick, or I can pull it up? But you can pull up crazy.
Yeah, that was a monumental time, and I think when you say like the Mount the Rushmore, I think because certain people were synonymous, like during a certain period of time, Star and Juggernaut and OG were
on the radio.
They were on the radio and also doing so many events.
All the events.
So if you went to certain events, Star gonna be hosting, OG's DJ, and Juggernaut
Hip Hop Tonight.
Exactly, and Hip Hop Tonight was that was huge. And that's the thing. Some people don't understand like legendary moments. That was Hip Hop Tonight was like Illmacculate's kind of coming out party in terms of rap battling. Like that was a night where you sat there and you were like, wow, this is a real. You know, he's a real rapper right here.
Yeah, and it was like amongst the area of like, you know, Eminem just first coming out and everything else.
Yeah.
So it was like, yo, one, it's accepted
Yeah.
that there's white rappers and they're dope.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yo, we have one in our own hometown, and he happens to sit up here and be able to body most of the people in this room.
Yep. And that night, he was a shine. Like when you say hip hop tonight, I remember that night because I was one of the judges. But I remember vividly, bro, watching Mac come out and knock everything down. You know what I mean? And those are moments that you don't, because for Portland, there's not many times we can say like this hip hop rap moment was, you just remember like it was breaking ground, because I also had the privilege of working and managing Mac. It's also my friend, but going around the world with him and watching his abilities, you know what I mean? Like he's a real monster, on a whole other level than a lot of people. You feel me? So those are monumental moments. And Hip Hop Tonight was a monumental moment.
It's a thing that I think people don't understand now within this. Oh, pull up. Let's is it on the Mac Mini or is it on the iPad? Yeah, well, you can hit the button and throw it up here because I don't got the iPad button. I dislodged that.
They got a lot of technology over here. They got buttons, remotes.
got all the goodness. Are you gonna put it on the TV?
That's what I'm trying to do.
It's the iPad button's the last one on that row. Yeah. All right. And just turn up the TV so we can hear it.
And I have a great story to this video.
You got to turn up that turn up the quality. No,
Coolnutz.
Oh, that might be as good as the quality.
that might be as good as the quality gets.
The master of this was on a high 8 VHS or something. Like,
yeah,
this is before. Before we got to where I could just email it over to you, and it's gonna be
Go ahead and play that.
What I'm about.
I just also love the fact this looks like the classic 90s. Like you could put this up to Montel Jordan, any of those things back in the day. The quality of video looks.
And these are all, man, and this is all, this is really
Crack up dawn, sunrise, motion for the day. Take heed, listen up, and hear what I say. I'm in the cut, a savage display of game circulation. Make the calculation. 36 zips makes the chicken fly the coop. I'm stuck on that rock with that dog
give them something different, bro. You see, now cats are just now getting into the, hats like that. You had to have fashion and flair, pizzazz.
You know what I'm about. The strip, my grind and real talk in my mouth. With 25,000.
That sounds like a club in Portland that has a Middle Eastern owner that's like,
You see how fit he was?
Sleek identification, avoid jealousy, and play a
this is the part where verse comes in, right? In the elevator.
Yeah, we did. Well, the thing is, this is all in the streets with a car cam. This is in the elevator of the Crystal Ballroom.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the elevator Crystal Ballroom. This is all in the streets. We hit MLK.
So sick, so sick.
That's in Barbati's right there.
Versatile.
Bosco right here.
Dude. Who knew? And Versatile gave me crap about this because I said he was a Nate Dogg of Portland, being like, yo, you have that signature voice, and he took it a different way. And now you looking at this video right now, I'm like,
and check my rhyme.
But you know the crazy thing about even with Verse being on this song, and this is my bro, like Versatile,
Connecticut to the Bronx, Seattle to Southern Cal.
I recorded most of this whole album in Portland at my studio. And I went to LA. I took all the masters and everything to LA.
yeah.
Back up on a million, beat the point. Greenbacks and scratches for the leeches to attack.
His part.
Check it, attend the total story.
Bro, like I'm talking about, hey, bro.
Gotta tweaking in this. I thought not. My hustle was a lifeline. I can't be rich and smoke, yay, at the same.
Knocked out and then flew back home. So it's like this song, this song was so monumental for me and Portland because it encompassed like literally, like you said, it's one of the first real rap videos, but then like coming with a song that talked about Portland, talked about like hustling and chasing the dream and all of that. But the things that came together of Bosco, you know, being my bro and investing so much in the mixing and mastering and tightening up. Like, I produced a song too. Like, a lot of my bigger songs, people don't even realize I produced 76 Nova, What I'm About, and a few others. But, you know, him coming in, but then verse flying in and like knocking it out the park. And even now where, like you said, like the length of things, like where I'm this far deep and people still recognize these songs, man. It's like I do these songs at shows and people know, like,
oh
yeah,
bro, it's
a blessing to say the least.
It's a blessing, but it's also one of those things I think it comes back around to, and we actually talked about this on the episode we did with Farnell. It's one of those things where you gotta be internationally known to be locally accepted.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that, like, you know, I don't know if you feel like this way within your career, but and I think actually it might be different with your career because you're from here.
Yeah.
You're not a transplant. It's not like me where I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, you have deep roots where, you know, you go to Woodlawn, like, people know you.
Yeah.
You sit up here, go to St. John's, people know you.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's one of those things where you truly get to say, like, you're the king of the North because, like, you are bred from here. And I think it's a hard thing for a lot of people to understand because a lot of other hip hop figures from the city, even now and back then, came from different areas. It's like, yo, word from Lake Oswego, you from over here, you from Beaverton, like, you know, you from Vancouver, but yet you claim Portland, and it's like, it's one of those things that, like, a lot of people don't understand, but, like, proof positive with you is that, like, you are Portland.
Yeah. And I feel like also, even beyond that, we made it a point to always represent Oregon as well, like the whole state. And I think that's where I really feel like Portland and so many cities, even in the state, supported me so much because I represented, like, even on 76 Nova, when I say taking trips to Lincoln City, chilling at the Cozy Cove. So if you ever been to Lincoln City and you driving the Strip and you see a sign up there, the Cozy Cove Hotel, like when I was just a young man, learning how to get out and travel and I can jump in the car and go drive here and you know, and go get a you know, when I'm young, you learn I can get a hotel room and go to Lincoln City, and I stayed at the Cozy Cove, you know. So I put that in the song, but so many people from Lincoln City love that part. Or on the Speaking Upon a Million album, when I wore the Ducks rain slicker and then had the Beavers stuff, like, to say, like, no, we from Oregon, but the music you gonna hear, I'm gonna have Yuck Mouth on the album from the Loonies. You know, I'm doing songs with E40, so you're gonna see we from Portland, we represent the Northwest, but we also are doing bigger things that represent this city and this state, to say we taking this further, but when we taking it, we taking Portland with us. You know what I mean?
How did you make the relationship between, like, to get back to this, between, it was like the best marriage possible. It was like you had Star, and this is before you were doing the radio show, but, like, you had Star on the radio, you had Juggernaut, you had OG1, and it was a thing that everyone knew that you all were family. Yeah. Everyone knew that was the clique, because it'd be like, you go to the show at the Roseland, guess who's hosting it? Star Child. Guess who's DJing? Like, Juggernaut or OG1. Guess who's the opening act? Or guess who's, like, sitting up here headlining this, like, Northwest show or whatever else? Coolnutz. Like, how did that come about? Like, how did you guys not sit up here and be, like, enemies to a certain extent, or in competition with each other? Like, how did you guys, like, stay family?
I think it's because when you talk about really coming from Northeast Portland, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you talk about, like, even with Star, like, Star is like a little bro, because when we started doing Po Hop, you know, Star was rapping. Like, that's what people don't understand.
People
like,
don't remember that.
Star was a rapper, you know what I mean? So when we doing Po Hop and I put out even the Western Conference All-Stars and different stuff like that, Star is on there rapping, you know, and Star and OG we're always like a duo in terms of DJing and putting on events, and then even OG was producing, and they were just close. But with us all coming up in Northeast Portland, like you had to there was a real sense of community. You know what I mean? So like you had to bond and build, and if you were a part of that hip hop community, we worked together in so many different ways, man. From shows at La Luna, shows at Burr Bodies, like you said. If like when we did Too Short in Bend, and they had us performing, and they needed a host, and I'm like, well, y'all should hire Star, and so it was, we were on the show, but I took Star out there with us. He hosted, and and when we're traveling at this time, getting everybody in the hotel room, we kicking it. Like, it's certain experiences people don't realize. There's a lot of networking and family stuff. Because also another thing is, coming from the real Northeast Portland, everybody knew everybody, and even some of us are even like family because we went to school or we grew up with each other's cousins and uncles and all of that, or we're even related. You know what I'm saying? So, and even with OG, like OG done supported me so much, man, like in so many ways. Like if I come out with a new song today and I send it to OG, I say, OG, I got a new song, bro. If I send him the clean edits, without me asking, I'm gonna get a video back of him playing it in the arena, the Blazer game, and then he's gonna ask me, what else you need me to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I could just tell, like, hey, bro, I need if you could do this or do that. So it's a certain sense of family, or even, watching, rest in peace, Star Child, because Star was an intricate part of Portland hip hop, you know what I mean? But even watching Star do the stuff he did at radio and putting on events and becoming who he was, like, we've watched all these people progress, and they like, I watched OG go from being a DJ, being a producer, to being on the radio, to being one of Portland's, being a mentor to kids, to being a Blazers DJ, to doing so many things. Like, you see the progression and growth. So the only thing you can do is try to either, cheer your people on, but also as we doing different things, like sharing opportunities and sharing things. Like even with OG, if sudden stuff come across my table, I'm always gonna call him. He can always call me,
Yeah.
So it should. That's how it should work,
And it's sad that, like, the game teaches us to be wary of the man next to us. Mm-hmm. And it makes it into a thing where it's like, you gonna crack that door because it's hot? You can crack that door. No, ain't nobody gonna be mad. He's gonna go bling bling. It's one of those things that people just, like, get confused upon, like, yo, this is how the game works. I gotta be wary of this man next to me because he might try to take advantage. He might try to take my spotlight. He might try to take my producer. Like, yo, I might have this tour spot. He might try to undercut me. He might, like, and it's the thing that's, like, it's sad when you see that, but it's so magical when you see the exact opposite. Mm-hmm. When you see a group never break up, or you see the West Side Connection or whatever else, that this thing that exists for ages. Yep. And it's like, it's not like a sad, hey, yo, we got the band back together, but the drummer don't speak to the singer, and the singer don't speak to the bass player. Somebody's married to somebody's ex-wife. Yeah. Like, it was really dope to see that come from y'all. And more so to a point, it was, I think that all y'all got to at this era of your career, that it's like, all right, cool, multiple business owner. Now, instead of playing the shows, he is running the shows. He's throwing the shows. Like, word, instead of, hopefully getting a sponsor from a food spot or the Cadillac brother owned thing, it's like, word, my own company is doing that. Like, yo, and like, I'm on the radio picking the music that's going to be put on there instead of fighting to have my music on there. Like, it's such an amazing thing, and that's just yours. Like, looking at OG1s is like, yo, word, you went from, like, being on the radio to now sitting up here making Hip Hop Week into a national thing. You're now going to other cities to sit up here and speak to individuals and be like, yo, this is how you make a Hip Hop Week. This is how you get it organized with your government. This is how we can sit up here and make this, stop this gun violence and start raising funds. I'm like, I'm like, damn, like I can't imagine if Star was still here, what would have been happening. And some of the other brothers, like, that have been lost in the game or been injured to a point where they can't sit up here and be a part of it in the same way. Actually, you know what? That brings up something. Let me see if I can find this real quick. They basically KRS-One was on they're doing that new hip hop museum.
Yeah.
So they're doing the hip hop museum, and they were basically talking about, he was like saying like what we need to do for our elders within the game and how we need to essentially like respect them and put it on like it needs to be. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah. Okay. I think this should be going through the correct way. If not, y'all figure it out with this mic.
Hip-hop is a subject, and the preservation of subjects is different from the preservation of objects. To preserve a subject, you have to preserve the people that come up with the ideas. I'm hoping that some of this funding goes toward the pioneers of hip-hop, because too often we erect buildings and edifices to honor people that we give no support to. So how is the hip-hop museum going to go up with all of these stories in it, and the people whose story we telling is not being compensated for their story? That cannot happen. So I'm advocating right here while we're all here that we pay attention, that hip-hop is our life. The story we gonna put in this building is life. Hip-hop is not an...
Yeah. So, I mean... Sorry. See, that's what I was saying. Had to I got to put the mic in front of my face. I think that has a lot to say with kind of like how we view things and how we keep the legacy alive to it. It's like, yo, you guys have done all these great things, and it's like making sure that, and I guess you said it perfectly earlier, like you have your platform and your voice reaches to your platform. But when it comes to, it not being a monolith, and we making sure that everybody recognizes the full scope of the culture, not just like when we talk about Black history, we only talk about America, we don't talk about Africa. Like we got to make sure that we do that with hip hop. We got to make sure that we amplify each other's voices, and that we remember not only our history and preserving it, but like he was saying, like, this is a subject. This is not just this place. Yeah. I don't know. How you feel about it?
I mean, I think that's one of the things as time goes on, certain things start to get swept under the rug. And I think that's the reason why there needs to be hip-hop museums, because as the fans get younger, they're listening to, Lil Baby. They're listening to the independent rapper from California. They're listening to Rod Wave. They're listening to Ice Spice. They're not being informed. Like if you're 19, 20, or 14, 15 years old, or even 12 years old, like my son is not informed of who KRS. I mean, I play some of the stuff for him. Like I play EPMD for him. I was playing, what was I playing? Like DOS Effects. And some and even some early Wu-Tang for them, for my kids, because I also want them sometimes to be aware of, like, no, this is where this comes from, And but I think that
pick better samples.
I think that everybody has to be conscious that people do need history lessons on hip hop so they can know where certain things came from. So they can know, like, even the full lineage of Jay-Z and his journey, like that he's not just, he's Rock Nation and Beyonce's husband. But no, this is, you know what I mean? But this is a man that built something. Like he was
Rap's first billionaire.
Chasing his dreams to get there. Like he really started from
Hawaiian Sophie.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't know, or that Jazz put Jay-Z in position with that Hawaiian Sophie song. And then Jay-Z went through his bumps and bruises, signing with Priority. Then he got with Def Jam. And Jay-Z didn't really blow up until what, the third or fourth album?
Well, I mean, technically speaking, I think it would be one of those things where it's like he had X amount of New York mixtapes.
Yeah.
And then it was like volume 1 didn't really blow up. Yeah, I guess you're right. Volume 2 was the one that put him on the map.
Yeah, but there was In My Lifetime, and then there was what was the first one with Can't Knock the Hustle?
Reasonable Doubt.
Reasonable Doubt. So there was Reasonable Doubt. Was it In My Lifetime? So like when he finally hit with was it Hard Knock Life?
So Hard Knock Life was
third album or something.
third album.
Yeah. But I think that also benefited him in terms of people were familiar. They got familiar. He was already, accepted and acknowledged as one of the dopest MCs. But then now, boom, I'm 3 albums deep, and I'm hitting you with a hit record versus the first album.
The funny thing about that is, and I don't know if you remember, so I found Jay-Z on Volume 2.
Yeah.
And, with, what was her name? Not A. Marie. No.
Foxy Brown.
No, homegirl that he like basically kicked out after that album.
Oh, Emil.
Yeah, yeah. That like it was volume. That was the album that I was all about. Like all the skits within that, like the "F You Pay Me" and all that stuff. That was so amazing. And then turn around and Volume 3 came out, and it was like that's where you had Big Pimpin' and all that other stuff. Diamonds Are Forever, not Diamonds Are Forever, but Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, whatever that sample is. Basically, I was like, yo, this is like my first recognizing like this is a crossover album. Like you're no longer making music just for this. I was so mad. And then like now that like as a DJ and later on in life, I'm like, this album is so important. Like everyone's like Blueprint. This is the album. Da 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 da. I'm like, yo, do you remember how many hits that we now look at were on Volume 3? Because it's non-comparison to Volume 2.
Because there was, you got to think it goes back to that was that whole Trackmasters era of all of that time of like Diddy and all of them people were making they were trying to make real monster hits.
Yeah.
New York, everybody was coming with the flashy videos and rapping in the suits and pulling up. And,
oh, God.
So it was like, but.
Dipset.
So it's so many things I feel like if people don't understand the history of where stuff came from, even with fashion, like where people are now getting back to wearing fitted jeans. Like there was a whole era of like Curtis Blow and all of that time when cats were wearing
Tight jeans.
But
we old now, man, bro. They're wearing big ones now. They're bringing out the Jinkos.
Back. But that's what I'm saying. But you got to think. Remember, there was that first era. Then jeans got bigger. Then there was the Jabot era and big old T-shirts. I remember we was wearing 5X T-shirts.
My mama would never let me do that. She was like, "You want how much for a shirt?" Nah, mama, it's a jersey. It's a actual jersey from the game. Like, you want to spend $125 for?
If you go to the throwback era, you talking about that's the start. That's like $250, $300 for the. You want the original Mean Joe Green, throwback jersey. But all of those eras, like people don't understand all of those eras. Like even when you say the Dipset era, the big Averex coat era. With the bandanas or the do-rags, like all
Pink
of these
mink
coats, everything. Those are all integral parts of hip hop. So like when KRS-One is talking about that, we do have to preserve some of those things so you know where like cats are coming back wearing Averex coats now. They're back wearing Averex coats, Like when cats first started wearing skinny jeans, we were like, what? Jeans tight as hell.
Yeah.
But then you go back, Curtis Blow and all of them, they were wearing, Run DMC's wearing leather pants and all of this. So hip hop.
Don't get Dr. Dre's Throwback Thursday. He's wearing some wild stuff.
Wrecking Crew. So much of that stuff cycles back, but people don't really know where it comes from. So you would think like in this day and age, like somebody's starting a new trend or something. And I think really that's what KRS-One is saying is not only preserve the culture, but make sure the people that created it and put the blueprint or the bricks in the bricks in the foundation, that they also are eating off of it, because you have a lot of artists that are not.
Yeah.
Because I think this applies to when I say early on when we started doing hip hop, it was from a place of passion. It was a place I'm living in the culture, and then somebody comes to you, they say, "Oh, you want a record deal? I'll give you a BMW and $10,000 and you didn't know that you signed your publishing away.
Yep.
You didn't like if you look at even like De La Soul. De La Soul is just now putting their music back on streaming because they didn't like their deal, and they weren't getting paid from their music. So De La Soul's music hadn't been streaming for I don't know how many years. Never. So yeah, so it's never been on digital.
Tommy Boy tried to put it up, and they were just like, yo, you're not going to do this. You're going to pay us for it. And they're like, yo, we're getting cents on the dollar. You're not even going to get that.
But people don't realize, bro, the average record deal, if you talk about a real record deal from the 80s and 90s, if I signed you to a record deal and I come to you and I give you $100,000 and you have a 12% royalty, your 12% royalty doesn't kick in until
you pay that back.
Until you pay the $100,000 or whatever the whole project. So if the project costs $1 million, you're recouping at 12% on the whole project. You don't recoup like they've already made. Like if they sold 1 million records at $7, they made $7 million. You might not have seen a cent because you're recouping at 12% off that whole balance until that's recouped.
I just love the fact, and maybe you can speak about this because like you're a rapper, so you understand it. When these like rappers don't understand studio time, and then they're like, "Hey, yo, I've been in the studio for the last 6 months making this project," and you're like, "You know how much money you just wasted?
Yep.
You could have took 1/10 of your advance and built out a studio. You could have rented a house, Airbnb, the rest of it, had your homies living at it, and made money."
Yep.
But it's so weird, and this is maybe proof positive to you, is like you have to understand the business of the game. It's more so sometimes more important for you to understand the business than you to be the most lyrical rapper. Because you got to look at Master P, and it's like one of the greatest of all time. And I'm like, where are you putting that at? You putting on that category of lyrics? You putting that in the category of the amount of money he made?
Yep.
Because the business of the game, he's untouchable.
But that's where he, I think Master P in some ways was a gift and a curse to the industry, because like you say, when it comes to the music and the rapping, he wasn't Jay-Z, but when it came to business, he showed a lot of cats, oh no, you can still be successful in the rap game. So it opened the door for a lot of street hustlers to say, oh, I got the money to rap, I'm going to the studio. And that's where you have the explosion of like the cat that got all the money. He's the worst rapper in the crew. He got the crew with him. He's in the studio. They pouring champagne, smoking weed, and they're putting these records together. Then you start seeing that increase of artists that were like trap rappers that he's validated because he got all the money. He validated. He got the chain, the Mercedes-Benz.
He's got the crew. The city loves him.
The city loves him. And everybody wasn't Young Jeezy. Like Jeezy was that. He was Master P, but with incredible songs. You know what I mean? But also, Jeezy was also the progression of Master P. And so Master P was the inspiration to a lot of trappers and D-boys and all of that, but also had an impact on the culture of also an influx of cats that weren't the best rappers, but they knew that they could do it.
Well, they've said that this in like several like different interviews with different people, where it's like they even did this with comedy, which blew my mind because I didn't think this was a thing, where people were like, yo, let me fund your label. Let me make the label. You guys rap underneath me. Like I got this, this little shicey lawyer gonna draw all this paperwork for you, gonna do this stuff, and it's like, even if you suck, I can make money. Because like I'm gonna educate some of y'all to the game. Drug dealers run everything in the music game. Period. Like if you want to pop and party, get the drug dealer to sit up here and let people know he coming. You want to sit up here and get your album funded, let the drug dealer sit up here and handle it. Like, hey, you having a problem with your record deal, you can't get out of it. That drug dealer can get that lawyer or get something else to figure out for you.
You know what? It's not even always so much just the drug dealer. It's the underworld. The underworld plays a part in so many things of like, because a lot of these businesses don't always spawn from the most savory environments anyway, and the practices behind them. Like if you go watch everything from the 5 heartbeats to so many different old school music movies. There was always a Suge Knight.
Yeah.
Suge Knight wasn't just Death Row. There was always a Suge Knight. There was Big Red. Remember Big Red?
Ooh, fuck, there was Ike.
Yeah, there was Ike, yeah. So people don't realize the underworld has always fueled even the entertainment business, whether it's Las Vegas and the mob.
Yeah.
You know, where there's so many under the surface. But the thing is, in that world of the mob and everything, it was always the model to lurk in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need to be known. That's like if you watch original what was it with Denzel Washington?
Oh, American Hustle?
American Gangster. Is it
American Gangster?
Is it
Yeah.
With Denzel. But if you
Yes. Underrated Jay-Z album.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Just throwing that out there.
But if you watch that movie, one of the intricate parts was when he always wanted to stay behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
but he went to that fight and he wore that fur coat, and that fur coat exposed him to the police, and then they knew who is that? That's Frank Lucas. And so it was like,
Don't say my name.
yeah. So
My product speaks for itself.
So for the longest, that's how it was supposed to be. Of the underworld was just that. It was the underworld, and it wasn't talked about, but it always existed in so many ways in the music industry, in the casino industry, and so many other things.
It's so funny how much they excluded us from the different avenues of stuff, and they were like mobsters type things where it's like, yo, go get Marilyn Monroe. Hey, yo, still make those the black singers that are sitting up here bringing all these people in through the back and stuff, and it's just like, yo, man, that is nuts. Like how it operated is like y'all could have made money off of us, or with us, hopefully, but like y'all was too scared, and you were just like, hey, let's get Baby Blue Eyes and whatever else to sit up here and play stuff. All right, I wanted to talk to you about this because I think that you have a unique opinion about this because you probably had to deal with samples in the game. So recently, there's been the influx on TikTok and stuff of people playing like here's the sample and then here's the song, and there's obviously the case with Pharrell where it's like, hey, yo, we took this song, it was inspired by this Marvin Gaye song. How the heck did we lose all the rights and all the publishing and everything else from this song, and now we don't get any of the money? I thought of a TikTok challenge. I want to do a TikTok challenge where we take, like, DJs, musicians, producers, whoever, take music that was black, that was then sampled or stolen by white people, and put those things together, and do that for the whole month of February, where it's just like, hey, remember this Elvis song that you thought was made by Elvis? It was actually made by this black guy. And then just like do that for the whole entire month. And at the end of the month, for everyone to, like, in a one united voice, be like, and give them their publishing.
Yeah.
Give them the money that you never did, that you've been holding on to for all these years. Because it's, I can't remember. I think it was Logic that was like, yo, I said, can I kick it in my record? And it was from Tribe Called Quest, which if Tribe Called Quest wanted a part of it, no problem.
Yeah.
But Tribe sampled that from, I can't remember
somebody else. Yeah.
Somebody else, and they get 100% of the publishing. So it's not even a thing that I'm getting a percentage of this. Tribe's not getting a percentage of this. It's going from a family that this artist isn't even alive anymore.
Yeah.
Like how do you feel about the sample game?
I mean, I feel like if you're in a position like on a label and you're going to get a hit record, I feel like, of course, clear the samples. I feel like samples have always been such an intricate part of hip-hop, and some of the greatest records ever were made off of samples, and that was an organic piece. I feel like if the person that actually made the song gets paid, cool. Like, but also, if somebody is reinvigorating your song, like giving it new life, like, don't take all the publishing. Like, take a piece. Like with Tribe Called Quest, don't let them. Y'all split it 50%. Let them get 50%. You get 50%, because it becomes like mailbox money. Like if you get a hit record, like like you said, the thing with Pharrell, was that Pharrell T.I.
It was Pharrell T.I. and
Thicke.
Yeah.
And what the family did is they waited for the song to just get massive, and that's what people do. once the song gets traction, if there's any claim of rights that they know, they sit back and let it grow. Then it becomes a mega hit. And then you come in and sue them. Now that it's
everything.
That's a mass.
You can't even perform that song anymore.
Well, once it gets to that point where it's already out, they'll come in and they're really just looking to get paid and establish the rights. And then in that establishment of them rights, you probably work out, we're going to do a settlement. We're going to give you $7 million. But we want to be able to perform the song. But at the same time, too, like if you go and license it, you still need to clear unless you work that out with them.
And that's what I'm saying. Some of those artists can't perform. Like, they can technically perform that song, but if they perform that song, they have to pay them to sit up here and perform it. And I'm just like, to me, then the whole entire reason I said that whole entire thing about the TikTok was we learned it from you, Dad. We, dear white people, you stole our music and you used it to bolster your own artists. We learned it from you. It's now funny to watch you, Sting, sit up here and sue X, Y, and Z artists for using the sample that you've been stealing forever. And I'm just like, I think that one of the things that like might be one of our reparations is like, yo, this is the flat sampling fee for music. If you're like, if you sample something, here's a flat fee, and then if it makes a certain amount of money, then you get a certain percentage. And it's just stone cold in writing, no more questioning, because it's like, yo, dude, someone had to come up with a piano and those individual notes. You're not sitting up here suing that person for him suing you for sampling because they're an inventor of the piano.
Well, that's where certain stuff gets murky with songs, is because you have so many people involved in some songs, and then people are getting cut out or excluded, or they're not getting their rights on certain parts of a song. And that's why you see some of these disputes. Like, you know, we've had songs where we wanted to go clear a sample. I forget what it was, one of the songs for a DBA album. We wanted to clear a sample. I think it was like a Missy Elliott sample, and they wanted like $85,000 to clear the sample plus 100%. You know, of the publishing.
The fact that anyone can ask for 100% of art that's been interpreted in some different way than you originally did it is nuts to me. Is nuts. Like, I not only do I not get it, I feel like it's gross, and it's a thing that it's not about the musicians. It's not about the artists. It's not about the rappers. Because rapper to rapper, we can understand it. Yo, Jay-Z, hey, you made it a hot line. I made it a hot song. Like, you are part of this legacy of it continuing on. Like, you can't sit up here and think that you own the world. But, man, do these people think they do. And it's lawyers. It's not even the artists.
I think it becomes, and that's what becomes a problem is, a lot of artists that get into the music business, they weren't business people, and then they didn't have the best lawyer to negotiate their stuff. Just like when you finally see people like when you watch a Tina Turner story or different artists like that who who own and control their music and understood, like, no, moving forward, no, this is not going to happen. I'm gonna maintain my rights. All the paperwork is going to be right, you know, and a lot of people didn't know that. Even in our situations of getting record deals, fortunately, we had good legal representation that, for one, made sure we got paid right, made sure the terms are right, made sure we had release clauses, you know what I'm saying, making sure the marketing parts of things were right. But a lot of people don't understand that, because if you say you record in your room, you blow up. Like, you all of a sudden get online, somebody loves your song, this record exec shows up at your house, we'll give you $250,000, and we're gonna fly you to New York right now, put you in the studio. But like you said, when you were talking about the studio, like, the record business, the record labels for the longest had been able to control how records were recorded. They were able to control how records were promoted.
The engineers,
they were able to control when your records were hitting the stores. You know,
your album's been shelved.
Yeah, or even as an artist, you sign a contract. Like, if your A&R gets fired or something, you're on the shelf. Like, people don't realize a lot of artists don't get shelved just because they made bad music. You might have put out a successful album Then you go into your second album, the A&R that was really championing you got fired or let go or moved, and then you got another A&R or somebody within the label just might not like you. Like, yeah, he blew up, but I never liked his music, or I didn't like his personality, so we're just not gonna. You're not a priority, you know.
Or the one that's super crazy is when you have a competition with the artist on your own label.
Oh yeah.
When they sit up here and find someone that sounds and looks just like you,
Oh yeah.
and then they're like, all right, cool, we got the next Nelly.
Yeah.
Shelf Nelly's album for the next X amount of months. Oh, he worked with these particular producers. Let's make sure to get these producers with this person, and make sure that his album doesn't come out.
Yeah,
dude,
there's a lot of politics within the record business, and I think
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah,
Lauryn Hill's the craziest. Hey, yo, they put you down as, and it's kind of happening with Beyonce right now, where it's like, who wrote this album? Well, I wrote this album. All right, cool. Let's write that down.
Yeah.
And let's not give any credits to any of the other writers that help you write this. All right, word. Now we're gonna sue you. You lost the publishing. You can't even. Once again, you can't perform your music.
Yeah.
Like Lauryn Hill has to do. I think because I did a show with her with Saw, and they were telling us like, yeah, she can't do her music, and the actual written notations and stuff of the music. So they have to pitch it up faster, and they have to do different versions of the song. So all of a sudden, you're hearing whatever Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and it's a dancehall version.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that's what you see. Like Ashanti was going through with, with Irv Gotti.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in terms of like getting her masters and being able to play her songs or own her masters. Yeah. She was trying to remake the songs so she could.
Yeah, Taylor Swift had to do that because they wouldn't give it to her. And then Jay-Z was trying to fight with Dame Dash about that. He was like, yo, you can have Rock Nation. Just give me back Reasonable Doubt. Yep. Give me back My Baby, my first one. Like, you can have all this other stuff. I don't care. Dude.
Record industry is a cold thing, man.
Dude, it is. It is. But that's coming back to you. Like, not only did you, once again, weather the storm of it, and weather the storm of it in Portland within going through the crazy thing of police, the crazy thing of clubs being like, we don't want hip hop, we don't want to do shows, and then to turn around, and we haven't even touched on this, but yo, you've been around the world multiple times, multiple times, and even beyond all that. And the legacy that you have in hip hop, then you've made multiple businesses that are here, that are solid. Not the, hey man, we started up the waffle cart in Northwest Portland that uses Cheerios for the base batter of it. You didn't do that, and you still got this thing that's been long lasting and made these new businesses endeavors. So what was your first tour, your first world tour, going around with people?
The first, my first tour of doing multiple dates was with I don't know if you heard of 3 Times Crazy from the Bay.
That sounds.
They're from the Bay. Keek the Sneak.
Mm-hmm.
So Keek the Sneak.
Yeah.
So Keek the Sneak was in a group called 3 Times Crazy with Adrian Man and Bart. Big shout out to them. Mm-hmm. So they had got their record deal. And their big song was "Keep It on the Real," and I was always cool with them, and then labels and different people knew what we were doing out here musically, so we would get calls of "Yo, can you help promote this?" Or I got these artists coming through. If you guys can help promote, we'll just have you do the shows with them. So 3 Times Crazy was the first real tour. Is this it? Keep It on the Real.
Yeah.
Yep. So 3 Times Crazy, big shout out again. This is a slap right here. And this is when they started signing artists from the Bay, when artists from the Bay start getting deals. Yeah. This was a great time. And so I went, my first run of dates was with them. And then my first tour coming back from South by Southwest was with Old Dominion.
Oh.
Yeah. So Henry Osborne, Boom Bap Project, Sleep, who else? Bishop, and all of them from Seattle in the of course, they're out here, you know, in Portland too. So I was at South by Southwest, and one of the artists on the tour with them had dropped off their tour. They was like, Nutz, you want to tour back with us? So we toured back from Austin all the way up the West Coast, Arizona, California. We go to Colorado and other spots. And that was my first, like, real tour, like being in a van and night after night.
Dude.
And big shout out to Old Dominion. It was my bros, man. Like, got tremendous love for them because we've done so much music together and everything else that, and they just show me love.
It's crazy. I didn't even, like, it's, you said it, and then, like, so many floods of memories from back in the day.
Yeah.
Because what was it? Oh my God, the group with the two sisters.
Oh, Sirens Echo.
Sirens Echo.
Yeah.
Dude. And I yo. It's just crazy to think that era, because I remember one of those, who was it? It was Macklemore. Macklemore was on one of these shows when I think Blue and Exile came to Portland. And I remember very vividly, like, so excited for Blue and Exile and everybody going so crazy for them. And then it being Macklemore on there and, like, no one caring. And then they blew up. But then that being, like, them and me and my homies basically talking about, like, yo, these are the other cats from Seattle. These are the other cats that had this relationship with Portland that always came back and forth. And then at some point, so many of them just stayed in Portland.
Yep.
And just didn't leave whatsoever. And Old Dominion, like, what other groups responded out of Old Dominion?
Like Sand People.
Yes.
And then, like I said, Boom Bap Project, Gray Skull. Of course, like you said, Sirens Echo. The Chicharron, Sleeping Josh Martinez. They're like
Jeez.
Yeah, but but Old Dominion inspired so many people because they were essentially like a Wu-Tang or Souls of Mischief or living legends from the Northwest, and they were actually touring it. Like even with Henri, you know, Henri has his albums where he has Aesop Rock on there and multiple people, and he's super tapped in, and Sleeping and Boom Bap have toured the world.
Do you think that Portland gets the credit of what it's accomplished in the music game? Like, in the respect of, like, if you look at, like, the underground music scene and you were to say, like, all right, where there's these underground rappers from New York, there's these from Virginia, there's these from, like, do you think that, like, Portland's got its just dues, or is it maybe one of those things that, like, because we're in Portland, we don't recognize how big these same people are in other places?
No, I think we definitely don't get our proper due for I think like Lifesavers and artists of that caliber definitely don't get what the because Portland isn't looked at as synonymous hip hop city when people come through. When people come through, they know, like, a lot of the ways that I got in or got connected with certain artists was because they would come here and my imprint or my footprint was so big. When you came here, like, oh, well, have you heard of Coolnutz? You know what I'm saying? So how I got tapped in with a lot of cats from the Bay and stuff, when people came here, they knew.
Yeah.
And I think, like, then when you have Lifesavers, they're touring the world, they're doing everything they've been doing. But on a national level, when people bring up hip hop from around the country and stuff, like, we definitely we're not getting thrown into those conversations like, yeah, but you can't forget Portland. And I think even with Seattle too, like, Seattle doesn't get their just due either, like, because we're tucked off over here in the upper left corner of the country.
I'm gonna say this, and I hope you receive this well. I think, and I've said this forever, New York has a sound, Atlanta has a sound, even Florida, Texas even different from Atlanta and the rest of the places. LA, the Bay,
the Dallas and Houston sound are different from each other.
I think
and they're not even that far away from each other.
I think that, like, within Portland, like, everyone is so, there's so many people that come from different places that then rep Portland, and then Portland itself, it's like I couldn't pick a person or even a group and say that that's Portland sound.
I think the reason is because when I say we've been tucked off over here, and I think this goes for producers, DJs, or whoever else from Portland. We are at times students of the game. Like, we're up here and we're like really, really tuned in, really studying and researching and listening to a lot of music. And so it also inspires, I think, the sound of what you get. So you'll either get cats that are really, really connected to the Bay, or you'll get the cats that are really, really inspired by what would be underground hip hop. So like whether it could be East Coast, could be backpack rap from LA, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where Portland, one of the reasons why when you say there's no particular like straight, if you said this is the Portland sound, is because like even for me, like I've taken in so much hip hop that like if you listen to some of my music, some of it borders between West Coast, but then you're going to have some sample-driven stuff, and you're going to have some stuff that's more hip-hop driven, like more kind of underground rap type, because I've taken in so much music, and I love hip-hop so much that my experience of, like, when I'm creating music, I'm able to, like, just output what I'm feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not like you said, like with Detroit, they have a certain Detroit sound, like. And a lot of people have
like this is Detroit production.
Yep.
This is Detroit rappers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But Portland is, you're gonna hear an artist that, like I said, that's inspired by the Bay. But I think there is a certain kind of Northwest twang. Like if you listen to Seattle and you listen to Portland, you'll hear in the kind of the lingo, in the way we kind of do stuff. But because we don't have any like, of course, some of us got out there and done things, but we didn't have our country grammar like with Nelly that got out there and boom. You know, we didn't have our None But a G thing or just like with Biggie. You didn't have our Biggie. You didn't have your Two Live Crew. Something that is synonymous with this blew up to a certain level. Because even when you look at, like, if you look at Macklemore being out of Seattle or Sir Mix-a-Lot, like, yeah, they blew up, but everybody's not trying to sound like Macklemore. Everybody's not trying to sound like Mix-a-Lot.
And it's even more funny because, I mean, to a certain degree, those both are not – Sir Mix-a-Lot more so than Macklemore, like, is a one-hit wonder. And then Macklemore's had a certain amount of hits, which, P.S., I'm be honest, I ain't mad at that new song he did with Premier.
Oh, the new one? Yeah.
Dude, I used to clown on Macklemore a little bit, and when it became super over popularized because of Thrift Shop.
Yeah.
And that was more so as a DJ, I was annoyed of playing it every time I went to a party. But then afterwards, I like listened to his music more, and I was just like, I'm not going to look at you as a rapper, period. I'm gonna look at you as an MC, and I'm gonna look at you as an artist, and I'm able to like your music a lot more.
Yeah. And but see, the thing is with I think with Macklemore that people don't understand is, like, he really
appreciates hip hop and is about the culture.
Appreciates hip hop, but he also
you really about the culture, bro, for real.
But he also his journey, like, he used to come out here and open for Sand People.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sand People were headlining, selling out Hawthorne, and he would come open for them. And I remember we were doing Po Hop one year, and we were like, well, and I seen him come out here with Sand People, and I was like, he's dope. And so I was like, well, let's try to get Macklemore for Po Hop. And we hit his manager, and he was asking us, like, well, so what's the show? We're like, Po Hop. And he was like, all right, well, let me talk to him. And then before he gets off the phone, it was Anthony Sanchez. He tells Anthony Sanchez, his manager, goes, yeah, we just got to, we're kind of trying to stick to just headlining gigs, because just watch over the next year, it's going to be some big stuff happening. And that's what he told us. He was like, okay. And he's like, yes, we got some big stuff happening. And then, sure enough, He had some big stuff happening.
Dude.
And but it's stuff like that to where I can appreciate his journey because I watched him in Seattle. I watched him on tour with Blue Scholars. I watched him open.
Jeez, Blue Scholars.
Scholars,
Wow.
And I watched him because I ain't gonna lie, when Blue Scholars were popping for an independent artist from Seattle, I didn't think there would be nobody could really supersede them because they were doing big stuff. You know what I mean? Like they were selling out the show box, and they did their one show where it was like 3 or 4 nights, and they put different artists on and sold out Numos 3 or 4 nights in a row. But
I can also say that I sold out Numos. Just want to throw that out there.
hey, you gotta toot your horn, man.
Yo, sometimes toot, baby.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like watching his journey. If you watched it, and you really saw it. You knew that he didn't just blow up overnight. He wasn't like when people are like, oh, he just do because he's a white rapper. He was in the trenches with real rappers in Seattle, in Portland, on the road, really grinding to do his thing. You know what I mean?
God damn it, you had to say that, so now I gotta sit up here and do this. You said this. This is your fault.
What?
I'm blaming you. Hold on. Let me get it pulled up real quick. Because I got these things like I just basically do like either a text or a note to myself, and I'll just keep tons of different videos and everything else. And just so when I think of it, when like I'm talking to certain people, like especially like I know certain people are going to show up, I'm like, yo, let me talk about this with them. And in fact, I definitely wanted to talk about this with you. Oh man, is it? Please be here. Oh man, you gonna do me dirty like that? All right, hold on. If it's not there, it's in my text messages, and it should be. Bam, let's do it. All right, I gotta get your feelings on this individual overall because you've been connected with certain amounts of white rappers, and I just want to know your feelings on the #1 artist in the country right now.
Who?
Yeah, man, right here, boy.
Is that what is his name again?
Tom MacDonald?
Yeah.
Tom MacDonald, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I read it like that. Like I've never read the word McDonald before in my life. Yeah, all right.
One of my fans sent to a radio station requesting Ghost. And this is the email they got back. Thanks for the email, Michael. Unfortunately, we don't play unsigned artists. What the f? Why? Well, it can't be a quality issue because you guys play Katy Perry on the radio and her music's trash. It can't be a controversy issue because Morgan Wallen got busted saying the N-word, Tekashi 6ix9ine's a convicted felon, and Kanye West. I mean, the point is they're all on the radio. It can't be a content issue because most artists promote guns, drugs, sex, and liquor. And
All right, we don't need to go through all that, but let me see if I can. Let me see if I can. So this dude, independent artist, Billboard Pops.
this is really
100.
Yep.
Number 1.
It's one of his songs. What is one of his most recent songs? There's a one before that I saw. It's what is it?
I just love. I'm like, all right, and correct me if I'm wrong. I really want you to correct me if I'm wrong. You stone cold can reject this. I hate that Linkin Park / ICP / anything of the rock, hip hop, Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock genre gets limped into the main category of hip hop. I think hip hop needs subcategories so bad, and it needs to be more than just this is backpack or underground hip hop. It needs to be more than this, that. You can tell Jesus anything that you're trying to look up. He'll find it and throw it up on the screen.
No, I was just looking at his other the other song. He has a bunch of them, but I had got tapped in with him, seeing him promote one of his other songs.
Yeah. He so the reason why I bring him, one, white boy in hip hop, we got him. We got a million of them now, and they all across the board. This dude especially, the I'm not going to be right wing, but I'm going to say all the things to let them have a rapper that they can stand behind. But I'm like, how are any of these dudes standing behind you? Just in the sense of like how you look. Like the same dudes that are driving the trucks that are sitting up here shooting dudes for jogging that can't handle that Becky is getting with Tyrone is backing this dude as their musical number one choice.
But you know that there's a whole, and I learned this through a lot of touring with Tech Nine and them, and then the Juggalos and all of them, and the ICP scene. There's a whole genre of, and they're like his age, but like Kentucky, Tennessee, and they've created, like, I don't know if you've seen like Jelly Roll. There's like Jelly Roll. There's like Struggle Jennings.
Okay.
People like that. Can you pull up Struggle Jennings?
Look, let me see.
But
Oh, damn. I just put in STR and then Struggle Jennings came up.
Because they've created like this genre of, it's kind of like country rap, rock.
But country's always just been rap with a horrible beat.
Yeah. but these guys have meshed it with actual like rap where they like, you know, like they came from touring. Some of them like Jelly Roll and some of them come from touring with Tech Nine and in that Juggalo scene too. But like you said, they also border on that.
It's not hip hop, but it is hip hop. You're rhyming, but
and it'll have a rock guitar with a country twang to it, but then it'll also have like,
ain't it fucked up that
the little bit of that political agenda to it too.
That those guys can sit up here and jump into hip hop music, but we sit up here and have one black gay dude sitting up here trying to do country music and the world almost set on fire. Like, hey, you can sit up here, Lil Nas X. Like I mean, there's not that many. I can't name one black country artist like in the game, though. If you want to look at what black country is, it really is oh my God, why it's not Stevie Wonder's Ray Charles. Ray Charles was Western music.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, once again, we were the linchpin of that stuff. So much of his music has been stolen and sampled by other country artists that I'm like, but this stuff is okay.
I think these guys, because they've created their own like genre, and they're very successful. Like Jelly Roll, man, is super successful, and and Struggle Jennings works with him.
What you want me to play a Struggle Jennings?
I'm not familiar with the song per se.
This video looks. All these videos look hilarious. Is that a feather in the hat?
But if you look, you can see like they're very much also influenced
making episodes
by hip hop. But then it's country. It's this country South, music where they're also like, I don't know if it's, just even kind of the political direction of it too.
This one's got 2.9 million. Dude.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Dude, let's just get like 30 seconds into this. Who knew that this was gonna be your episode?
No, but I'm very familiar with a lot of these guys because I try to stay up on the variety of. See. See, they remade this.
Bruh, all I'm gonna say is like, yo, I'm not discounting the musical importance of these artists. I'm not saying that they should not exist. It somewhat infuriates me that the things that some of the black artists had to go through to get into the position and to get where they're at, and then I see some dudes that are like this that will sit up here and complain that they aren't getting the clout and recognition. I'm like, yo, y'all didn't get killed for y'all's music. Y'all didn't sit up here and have to go in through the back to sit up here and play a show. You ain't sit up here and get the grimy deals from the promoters for years and be like, yo, this is what the black pay is. This is what the white pay is. That's the thing. And then they so much emulate our culture and our stuff, but then and it's to me, and it might be my fault. I might be narrow-minded and bigoted when I say this, and you know what? That's fine. I'm narrow-minded and bigoted when I say this. It's a thing that is hard for me to swallow. It's just like, so you just never stop raping and pillaging our culture. Mm-hmm. Like you gonna take collard greens and let Martha Stewart cook them and say that it's okay because Snoop Dogg was on the episode and she went to jail once.
But I think that's also the beauty of our culture is sometimes we just have to be cognizant of and I think we have to claim it of being cognizant of the influence that we have on certain stuff. Mm-hmm. And when we don't always get the credit, sometimes we have to be able to take that narrative and also push it out there. Like you said with the sample thing, like sometimes showcasing our creativeness, sometimes showcasing where this originated from. So people are well aware, like, we might not always get the credit, but this was inspired by our culture. Yeah. It was inspired by our music or by
enough time on the screen.
Our lifestyle. But I think also being and watching some of these guys grow, I've watched a lot of them struggle in the industry and watch them struggle in the industry, struggle with bad record deals, because some of these artists were contemporary hip hop artists, and then they figured, what's his name, like Yellow Wolf.
Yeah.
Like they'll be a contemporary hip hop artist, but they're really from the South and they're really from Georgia or Alabama or wherever, and that might not work for them. Cause I got a homeboy out of Montana. Mm-hmm. He's a rapper, and he started out I was helping him run their label. His name is Overtime.
Man, your business game within this is stupid.
You gotta get in.
Why didn't I have a man? I need a Coolnutz in my life to sit up here and get my paper right.
Hey, we might need to talk, bro.
Hey, bro.
A couple little pushes of some buttons and language and stuff the right way. We can and navigating the paper trail. But what I was gonna say is my boy Overtime, he works with those guys, but he went from being a contemporary rapper who had an alright career. But then he learned how to utilize all the Facebook ads and everything. Then he started doing more of that type of music. Man, he started marketing that stuff, and now he's touring the country with his own RV, selling out shows, 700, 1,000 people with that type of music. And I think it was just a shift of where this didn't work for me, but this will work for me because these are the type of people I relate to.
Yeah.
And I think that's more so what that scene is, bro. It's like, but also when you talk about the South, there is that connection of like when you live in the South.
Country.
Your country, but also white people and black people coexist in a number of ways. And there have always been like those racial undertones, but there also is that sense of community too, where you go to certain parts of the country and it's like, no, this is my neighbor Tyrone, and this Billy Buck, we gonna barbecue and do a crawfish cookout and boop de blam. And
you do a real good country accent, bro.
I'm just saying, but like, so it's so many different layers to the way some of this stuff works to where.
But why doesn't it work the other way? If I'm supposed to be able to accept them coming into my culture and doing stuff to make it their own, why is it that me doing stuff the way that they do it is not accepted? Like, yo, I can't make a country song. Yo, I can't be an opera singer. Yo, we right now, off the top of your head, name me an all-black rock band that is currently alive and kicking.
I think one of the only ones you can talk about is what? Fishbone or something like that.
Like, I'm thinking the Bad Brains, but
Bad Brains, Fishbone.
But those are
it's few and far between. It's few and far between. I think the thing is unfortunately, we are in a society where we have been at a disadvantage for a long time, and we still are. And I think it's one of my buddies years ago when Britney Spears first came out, and Monica and Brandy were all existing in the same space. Your average person, and I will say, white person, are they going to let their kid have a poster of Brandy or Monica on their wall versus a poster of Britney Spears, which that little bit of separation has a big impact on success, like the difference between an Adele, Alanis Morissette, Jewel, Dido. When you talk about some of these artists that have went diamond, and then you have Brandy, Monica, even Beyonce. Like Beyonce's massive, but
not massive in the comparison to,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Celine Dion versus Beyonce. Yo,
Yeah.
those are two different arena tours.
Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like we're always fighting that little disparity of the cultural gap of people understanding, like, you know, like if you go back and you talk about artists like Keith Sweat, Jodeci, Guy.
Can you get my man some water?
Oh, I got some.
Okay.
Your average white person, a music fan, even how dope that music is, they're not familiar. Like, you got to think it took, even if you look at songs like Whitney Houston or Boyz II Men, it took these mega watered down, sentimental, cry your eyes out, and
You gonna clip that?
for it to be a massive song.
Mm-hmm.
Not their, like when you go back in Motown Philly, Back Again, that album, some of those slow songs on there were incredible. But did that album go diamond? No. But then when they did what was their song? They had Boyz II Men had that big movie soundtrack song too.
Oh, was it on Soul Food? Was it?
No, it was one of the bigger ones. D-Boy, you remember the Boyz II Men big sentimental song?
It wasn't Four Seasons, boy.
No, it was see, man, I'm slapping myself behind not
Yeah, I'm bringing it up.
behind not knowing the club on 126.
On the road, end of the road.
End of the road.
End of the road.
So yeah, it's end of the road. So between Whitney Houston and Boyz II Men, they had to make these big tear-jerker songs that particularly weren't urban songs to, or and people don't want to talk about him, like people don't want to talk about R. Kelly because of what he got going on. But look at R. Kelly's body of work. And was R. Kelly massive? R. Kelly was big in our community, but was on a grand scale of music was R. Kelly.
R. Kelly only really came crazy big when he did I Believe I Can Fly.
You see what I'm saying?
And that was Michael Jordan putting out a whole entire movie in X, Y, and Z going with it.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like when you look at these artists who are incredible artists and their bodies of work, the one thing, but then if we look at who am I thinking about? Like Justin Timberlake, Sam Smith, people like that. Like the little separation creates a huge separation in success and levels of success when you start talking about, or even if you talk about Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, like
Black people invented the boy band. Just want to say that.
We did. When you talk about, when you talk about
we invented
the
it.
Jackson 5,
yeah,
and even the
Five Temptations, 5 Hearts,
all of them.
5 Temptations, 5 Hearts, the Temptations.
But when you talk about all of that, you also have to talk about that disparity of being commercially digestible on a huge level to where it achieves the same. Even if you look at Eminem, and Eminem is one of my favorite rappers. He's incredible. You can't take anything away from him. But being incredible and white creates a landscape for a whole nother level of success. Like, I mean, Eminem knocked it out the park. I mean, I remember when Bosco went to Sway and King's Tech show in LA one day, and he called me. And when somebody calls you like they seen a ghost? He called me, said, bro, you ain't gonna believe it. And I said, what? He said, man, Dr. Dre got this white boy. It's gonna change the rap game. And I said, who? He said, man, Eminem, I just heard him. He said, people aren't gonna believe it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yes, bro, he's gonna change the game. He said, I just sat there and listened to this shit. And I was like, for real? He was like, yeah. And then when I heard Eminem, I was like, but him being at the skill level he was at, and Dr. Dre and everything coming together, endorsing that, creates a whole nother level. I mean, if
he was an incredible lyricist.
Yeah, he's one of the best ever. Like, people don't want to give him at times just because he's white. You always hear people, oh, well, Eminem, he's not really. No, Eminem is a monster, and you cannot take anything away from him. You're hating if you do. But if we were able sometimes to harness those same, I mean, Macklemore has a diamond record. Macklemore has a record that sold 10 million.
And the thing that I give credit to with Macklemore within his instant is that he loves the culture.
Yes.
He is an MC.
Yep.
He did, and there was an argument about this. I can't remember what song he did, but it was after Thrift Shop. He set up here and got all the old school legends on the rap video and everything else, and everybody was like trying to clown him, and it was like, but y'all didn't do it.
Yeah.
Y'all had the last 50 years to put Cool Herc in a video and Easy Mo B, and y'all didn't do it.
But
the white boy did it.
But the thing is, that goes to say what I'm saying is when you take incredible and you team it up with the diversity of being able to be accessible because of who you are, it creates the ability to have those diamond records. I mean, of course, you have 50 Cent got diamond records, but then you have people like Nas who didn't win a Grammy until they gave both Nas and Kendrick Lamar to a certain degree at times got charity Grammys when they should have got valid, like Good Kid, Mad City, Grammy album, Damn, Grammy album, The Pimp a Butterfly, Grammy album. Then you talk about Nas, Illmatic, God's Son, what is it, The Message, all of these albums, and it took him to do these new albums, King's Disease, to get a Grammy. It's crazy. So what I'm saying is, I don't think
Will Smith didn't even get to accept his Grammy on TV.
And did 50 Cent? I don't think 50 Cent has one.
I mean, all of those artists always get done wrong because hip hop is looked at as a pretend genre, and it's only, I feel like, became more accepted. I mean, I hate to say this, until Eminem came in and made it more like, oh, word, X amount of white people more so now listen to it, and he's like, we're gonna give Eminem a Grammy, gonna give him a Grammy, but guess we got to give these other people it first.
But I think Eminem, like you were saying though with Macklemore, Eminem did a good job of also opening the door and making like coming in the door with Proof and D12, and then the whole 50 Cent thing, and so many other.
But he put on more black people.
Yeah,
and which is a thing that's like is amazing.
Are there any other outside of? I know he signed Yellow Wolf, but that was it. I think every other artist that was on Shady was black.
Yo, I mean, because he had the whole entire thing with Machine Gun Kelly because of him going after his daughter, and Machine Gun Kelly's like, why won't you play my music? Why can't I come up to Sway in the morning? Which, all right, let me ask you this, and this is Machine Gun Kelly good?
There's two different Machine Gun No,
this isn't a gotcha. It was just a thing
I'm because Machine Gun Kelly is another one that I watched his growth. And early on, Machine Gun Kelly was a real rapper. But then Machine Gun Kelly did, like I told you, this ain't working over here, I'm going to pivot. And now I got a guitar. And I'm going to do pop records. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is.
And he got Megan Fox.
Bro, and
Or not Megan Fox, Megan Fox, okay.
But he killed it though, bro. But what I'm saying is the door is open in so many other ways for other people to do those things. Like, we don't have that same ability to pivot like that.
And that's what I've been trying to say from the jump. It's weird as hell that they can make a subgenre of hip hop and that homies now got the #1 pop album. It's not the #1 hip hop album. Pop. Yeah. Pop Billboard 100 album, and yet we look at Lil Nas X, and he literally had to have the godfather of country, Miley Cyrus's dad, Billy Ray, come on down and be like, you know what, you ain't gonna do this to my brother, and stamp him, and then let him be official.
He said, you know what, I'm going to Old Town Road with him.
He's like, I'm going to Old Town Road with him, and he was like, wait, he's gay? Fuck it, let's go ahead and do this.
But I think that's where it takes the coming together of people to like like we were saying with Eminem, some people got to know how to use their platform to also trump the system. Like, and I think Eminem did a lot of that, of like using his platform to trump the system, to say no.
You see, he had to double down on that Trump.
No,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
To where you're saying, like, you know, you might not let this in the door, or you might not give it the influence or backing it deserves, but I will. And my voice is loud enough to where I'll sit in the background and push this through, and my momentum and leverage will make it where you have to listen. I mean, because 50 Cent wouldn't have been 50 Cent without Dre and him.
I mean, he tried. He tried without him beforehand. And, I mean, to be honest, I can't remember. I think it might have been just called Curtis.
Curtis was the one after the when he kind of
is like, the white cover, and it's like black. It's black and white.
Because it was Get Rich or Die Trying.
Was the first
Massacre. Was it Get Rich or Die Trying, the Massacre, and then those albums kind of after that strayed away a little bit from the Dr. Dre and Eminem.
How did he? All right, it was Guess Who's Back.
Yeah, Guess Who's Back. Now, that was what got him his momentum. That's what got everybody. That's when he's just dissing Ja Rule and them on there. And then Guess Who's Back, because the same A&R that signed us to Universal was trying to sign him. That was a good record.
That was a good record. And that was just an instrumental shoot.
But the actual record of Guess Who's Back is an incredible. That's when you talk about street records, that put him in position. And then Dre and them signed him, and then they just built off that momentum. But that just took it to a whole nother level of, you know, of where and see. But another thing that people don't understand too is that 50 Cent and Dre and Eminem are responsible also for so many other big hip hop successes. Like, if you didn't have 50 Cent and you didn't have Eminem, because Eminem essentially brought Dre back, you wouldn't have had Kendrick Lamar. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have had The Game. Because all of that momentum and all of that push opened the door for 50 Cent. When that Aftermath ball was rolling and G-Unit was rolling, it opened the door for so many things. Lloyd Banks, all of those things that come in.
Dude, people need to give a lot more praise to Eminem on stuff just because it wasn't like the West Coast was dead.
Yeah.
But it set up here and gave a shot in the arm to the West Coast when it needed it.
Yeah.
And the show, as I told you, show goes quick.
Yeah.
Show goes quick, bro. Show goes quick. So there's a couple of things that I need to get through with you before I let you go. One, I got to hear the story of how you met E40, how that relationship started.
That's a very interesting story because
you see the grin on his face when I said that? He was just like
because you know, 40 has done a lot for me, man, in a lot of ways, and been a good friend to me. And been so the first time I got introduced to E40 music was in high school, and it was like I was riding with my partner. He was playing me the click, and you know, at this time, 40 style is really, like how he says, unorthodox. So I'm listening, like, what is this? Like, because he just put it on. I'm like, what is this? I ain't never heard nobody rap like this. Yeah. And then I was like, all right, that's cool. And then I didn't really take into account who and what it was. And then I ended up getting the first Click album. And I was like, oh, okay, this is dope. E40 in the Click and Be Legit and all that. And then, so when Bosco moved to L.A., he was in L.A. People in L.A. weren't really hip with E40. Then E40, they had the Click. Then they had the Mailman and Federal and Be Legit's album. So Sick With It was bubbling. And we were all entrenched in that up here. And I'm going between here and L.A., and I'm telling people, man, E40. And then we had got our first record deal with Atlantic. And our manager, Josh Levine, big shout out to Josh.
Yeah.
Josh was managing us, and he knew how much I was into E40. So he called me one day. He's like, I got something for you. And I'm like, for real? He's like, yeah, I'm going to come by. He comes by, and he hands me something, and it's the advanced copy on cassette of In a Major Way. And this is probably 6 months before it came out. You know, when the labels would send out cassette tapes. So I get that. I'm slapping it for 6 months before it comes out. The album comes out. And Bosco and I'm always telling Bosco about 40 because in LA they weren't until in a major way really popped him off.
Yeah.
With Captain Save 'Em and Sprinkle Me and all of that. And so then I'm telling Bosco and them like about E40, 40, 40, 40. But Bosco had a relationship with Jeff Finster at Jive Records, who had also they had Spice One up there and they had Too Short. So Bosco had already produced for, I think he's producing for Spice One, and then he calls me one day. He's like, "Yo, man, they just hit me to do the," and he already knew because he knew how much of a big fan I was.
Yeah.
He goes, "Man, they just hit me to do the Sprinkle Me remix." I'm like, "For real?" And he's like, "Yeah, bro, what direction should I go?" And I'm like, "You got to mob it out." Mob it out. Because they wasn't listening to 40 like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I'm like, "You got to mob it out." And he's like, "So what you think?" I'm like, "Bro, you got to go here with it and, go listen to some other stuff, listen to these producers. This is the direction you got to go." So he did the Sprinkle Me remix. And when he did the Sprinkle Me remix, 40 had us come to the release party for In a Major Way. And that's the first time I met him. And then, so I met 40. And then through me I'm doing my music up here. Bosco then, once he produced Sprinkle Me remix, 40 started reaching out to him more. So then he started going to 40's house. So then he calls me, he's like, "Bro, I'm going to 40 house. You want to come with me?" And so I'm like, "Yeah." And so we go to 40 house. And I get there, and he got the studio room, and I'm sitting in the studio like kind of hella nervous. You know what I mean? And he comes in, he's like, "Oh, Coolnutz, you Bosco brother, man. Why don't you at my house? You want to go get something out the fridge? Go get it. You want to cook something. Yeah." And then from that point, I was like, "Okay, we cool, like cool." And then we brought him for a show in Portland, and then we kind of started just doing more and more stuff with him. And then he started seeing how I move. He started seeing how I book shows, how I tour manage, how I do different things. And then, and also he knew the music, because like a lot of people that were coming through here, they would be like, "Oh, Coolnutz is the guy in Portland."
Yeah.
And then they would start seeing me doing stuff with, like, I got Yuck on my album. I'm doing, Sibo, stuff with Sibo and stuff like that. So 40 just started taking a liking to me, man. And as he took a liking to me, he just started like opening doors in terms of like, get on a song, you know what I'm saying? Then, "Oh, I'm going to go do this show." And then when he did, and then another thing is like, he had a time where after In a Major Way, there were a couple albums, and what was the double CD? The double CD, yeah. We got Flashing and all of that on there.
Element of Surprise?
Element of Surprise.
Yeah.
So when he did Element of Surprise, like, he also had a time where some of the touring had slowed down a little bit, but we was like, bro, we were in the van going through Montana, Spokane, and everywhere, and still touring. And then when he signed with Lil Jon, we went out there to Atlanta. So I was out there for a week when he's recording Tell Me When to Go, You and That Booty, when they did Shake, what is it? The Shake It song, and Mustard and Mayonnaise, all of them songs. And so I got to watch all that happen. But then
Shake Them Dreads? No, that's just a line.
No, Snap Your Fingers. Snap Your Fingers. Snap Your Fingers. So all of them songs, I just been able to be around for all these monumental moments. Like, and so he just, like I said, he just took a liking and opened doors. And so the first time 40 went on a private jet. It was a show we booked in Spokane. The promoter credit card bounced on the flights. They get to the airport, wasn't no tickets. So promoter hits me like, "How can we get him out here?" They sold like 3,000 tickets. Mm-hmm. I have to get him a jet. so they got him a jet. He was on the N1 tour.
No.
He was on the N1 tour. They flew him from Cincinnati to Spokane, and then from Spokane back out. But that's where he trusted me, bro, to where I booked that show, and we had to make it work. And it's like, and they flying on the jet. He gets off, he's laughing because he's like, "Oh, you made it happen, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." But like, first time going to Europe when we went to Amsterdam together. First time going to Dubai. Like, he's trusted me.
I've been to Dubai.
Yeah. So he's trusted me to like be able to use some of my resources to also open doors, but then give me the room to be close enough to him to where I can go in a room and say, oh, yeah, I work with E40. Oh, you work with E40?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd already been to Dubai. Yeah, y'all need to bring E40 to Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Then they bring 40. So him giving me the room to be so much involved and you know, creatively making music, being my friend, also opportunities and making money, tour managing for him. Time when I'm on tour, I'm not even rapping. I'm running his tour. You know what I'm saying? So that's been my relationship with 40, and also being a fan, man. Like, I feel like he's another one that he gets his flowers, but he don't get his flowers like for who he is. You know?
I mean, how the 49ers recognizing him now.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, when you think about it, like he had the whole that whole run of Ghetto Report Card with Tell Me When to Go and all of that. But what people don't look at is all of them big records after that, from Bitch, Function, Choices, I Don't Fuck With You with Big Sean, Law with Yo Gotti. All of them records is independent. So when Yo Gotti and them is calling him, he's everything he doing. So Choices, the hit Choices was independent. The hit Function was independent. The hit Bitch was independent. You feel me? And
it's lovely when you don't have to split your money.
Come on,
I mean,
bro.
when you paying your people, it's different than splitting your money.
Yeah. So it's like when he's doing all this stuff, you talking about somebody that's like he's doing all this on his own, and look at his longevity. Like, I was the first one to tell him Choices was a hit. We was in the van in Texas on tour.
Yeah.
We had got to Texas, and we were supposed to have a tour bus for a Too Short E40 tour. We get there's no tour bus. We had to scramble and we got a minivan and a Cherokee. So it's me, him, Omeezy, and Kazim in the minivan, and we would just ride here, play music. And he played Choices. I said, bro, it wasn't even done. I said, bro, it's a hit. He said, you think so, Coolnutz? I said, bro, this is a hit. You know, and then it comes in, sure enough, it's a hit. He had commercials and everything. But that's the blessing of the access he gave me to stuff he's doing, to where I can say I was there the first time he played Choices. Yeah. And I had the room. Me and him got the relationship where I could say to him, man, it's a hit, bro. Like, and that comes from being a fan of the music. So my relationship with 40, like, man, it's just been a blessing, bro. Like, to be able to really have him look out for me, to treat me like family. Like, that's family. You know, came to my wedding and everything, bro.
Dude. All right. This got to be a quick one, because I know you short on time.
Yeah.
Where did Coolnutz come from?
People think Coolnutz means my nuts are cool. It's a what they say, oxymoron of cool but could be crazy. So Coolnutz, because like if you know me, I'm not super amped up. But then like if we doing a show, or if it's a pressing situation, and I have another side to me that I have to activate or use to get through certain situations. Yeah. So that's where Coolnutz comes from, is cool but could be crazy. You know what I mean?
So not the Coolnutz, the ranch joints.
Oh no, not the Cool Ranch. Cool Ranch.
All right. Where did the I Hate Coolnutz T-shirt then come from within that?
You know what's funny is my big shout out to my boy David Parks and Pete Miser. So when we were doing Poe Hop and different things, and I know you know this from being a DJ. Like DJs hate on DJs, rappers hate on rappers, and different shit like that.
Don't know why.
Yeah, so through the course of me doing the music, you always get that scrutiny of like, oh, you hold me back, or Coolnutz doing this, or he's
you a gatekeeper, man.
A gatekeeper and all that. So when I was going out of town one day, and David Parks goes, I got an incredible idea. And I said, what is that, David? Because David is always, shout out to David and Too Many Zoos. David goes, when you go out of town, I just need you to do this for me. I said, what's that? He said, print up these I Hate Coolnutz posters, and I'm going to go put them up all over the city. And so I go print them up, and I say shout out to Pete Miser, because Pete Miser worked at Kinko's. So I go to Pete. I say, man, I need these posters printed up. He prints up. No, he actually made them. So he makes them, and he prints them up. and I go give them to David, and then I leave the next day. I fly to L.A. So I go to L.A., bro, and he blankets the city with him, and I start getting calls. Man, no, this is the first call I got. My boy, I ain't gonna say his name because I don't want to get him in trouble. He called me, he goes, man, bro, and excuse my French, he goes, and I almost shot this nigga last night. I said, what? I said, why? He said, man, I pull up on this nigga, and he's putting up a I Hate Coolnutz poster on the pole. And he said, I pull up, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. The only thing I can think is I'm going to have to shoot him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but then I pull up, I said, what you doing? And he said, and he could tell, he was like, David could tell he's being aggressive. He said, oh, no, bro, I work with Nutz. This is a marketing plan. He said, oh, okay. So then he called me, my bro called me the next day. He's like, and he tells me the story.
Mm.
And I'm like, damn, Dave really was on to something, bro. Well, Willamette Week put a story in about the posters. Someone's going around putting up I Hate Coolnutz posters. So then that's where when we just made the T-shirts, I Hate Coolnutz T-shirts. Because,
Dude, I remember seeing that shirt around, and I was like, literally like, yo, man, somebody really made a I Hate Coolnutz T-shirt? Like, you ballsy.
That was the whole thing of what David was saying was like, nobody would expect you/us to even do that. So it was and then, like I said, because of the music, it always just like people, man, I hate Jay-Z. Jay-Z's whack.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing around here, man. Mm-hmm. Anytime you achieve any type of success.
Man, I hate Amine. Man, I hate Win. Yo, Dodger ain't even from Portland.
Come on, bro.
Yo, bro, like all day.
So that's where the whole I Hate Coolnutz thing came from, because that's what cats said when they having their coffee table rap talks. That's what they going to be saying. Like, oh, he ain't all that type. Oh, he didn't put my homeboy on the show. Oh, they didn't let me get on Pole Hop. So David was like, just play on it.
Dude. All right. What do you have more love for? G-Funk or Bay Area?
Man, I gotta say the Bay Area, and the reason being is because the Bay did so much for me. Like not just 40, but like when I talk about the Bay, I'm talking about like E40, even Too Short. Too Short, we got him on the new Me and Maniac album. Like I called Short, I Need You on the song. His first song he ever did, we did together, and Short instantly jumps on it. In Too Deep, Drew Down, the Loonies, Sebo. Like Sebo is one of my biggest, like when I say supporters, like rappers, Sebo, when he was doing West Coast Mafia and they label was booming, every time he put out a compilation, he'd call me, Coolnutz, I need a song. You Portland guy, I need you on here.
What happened to mixtapes?
The mixtapes turned into albums. And then, and another one's Mac Dre. All of these guys from the Bay, like I said, 3 Times Crazy, JT the Bigger Figure, so many other cats from the Bay, man, that Be Legit, D-Shot, that show Sugar T, all of them that showed me so much love.
That's been one of the so we have like a list of tribute nights that we want to do. And the Bay Area has been the one that we've wanted to do for forever.
That'll go crazy,
dude. Yeah, we've been wanting to do it because, like, as a DJ, like I have certain routines that I do, and I have like a whole segment of like running through songs from the Bay, and then songs that are influenced by the Bay, and going back and forth and playing with them. Same thing when we do our Drake night.
Yep.
We sit up here and have a whole entire like damn near 15 minutes of just being like, yo, here's these songs that da-da-da-da-da back and forth. But all right.
G-Funk, but one of my favorite songs, when I say G-Funk, I have to say one of my biggest inspirations even as a rapper is Trey D from the Dog Pound. And that the 2-1 Jump Street.
Okay.
There's a couple Trey D songs that are like monumental to me because of the feel. Like those songs harness the feel of Nothing But a G Thing, but Trey D's voice and his swag and his flow was very, very similar to my style. And another thing with Trey D, when we was at Bosco's house, and he had the studio there, and Corrupt came. I think Corrupt came with Trey D, and Trey D, as soon as he walked in, I'm like, man, bro, you that guy. I love your music. And he was like, I know who you are, man. You Coolnutz from Portland. So
That's such a good feeling. We were talking about this with Farnell earlier. We're like, yo, when someone sits up here and be like, nah, man, I know who you are. And it's like.
But it's humbling. It's humbling because I'm approaching him as a fan. And when they turn in the tables and saying, no, I know your art, but I'm really a fan. But he knew my work and made it clear, like, no, you from Portland, such, and broke it down. I was like, man, that was dope. So when you say G-Funk, like, even with a lot of them, like the Long Beach cats, like Corrupt support me tremendously, bro. Like, I got multiple songs with Corrupt. Anytime I see him, it's love. People don't even probably remember Swoop G from he was part of the Dog Pound. Yeah. But all of them, like the Bay plays such a huge role in who I am, but it's other things with Bosco being in LA that I had the ability to connect with so many of those LA cats. Like Bosco produced on the first Volume 10 album with Pistol Grip Pump on there. You feel me? So like all of them guys.
Long time.
Yeah. So all of them guys is people that I really, really got to know. And then but the Bay is people that really, really being on the road, being in Bend, being in Seattle and Spokane and different places like that. So definitely like the Bay is closer connection.
Okay. So we have ending things we usually fly through within the show. First, we have a segment called Grind Your Beans. Basically, what Grind Your Beans is, you talk about what's irking you, annoying you, bothering you, just what is like infuriating you, and you just deliver that to the people. And like ones we had in the past were like me complaining about fast food not being open late nights in Portland annoys the crap out of me. Also, people that say that Portland is a super foodie city, and I always, which you fix for us, I'm like, yo, where do you go get barbecue in Portland?
Man, Trap Kitchen. Kitchen.
Like I was like, yo, tell me where to get ribs and fried chicken. All right, cool. Where can I get authentic Chinese food in Portland that's takeout?
You gotta go to Eastern Cafe.
See, this is the thing. This is the only reason that this is okay right now is that Coolnutz. No, get me on this camera. I want people to see me in the face on this one. Yes, thank you. I love being able to tell what camera I'm in. Coolnutz can say this because Coolnutz is actually from here, so he knows the things that don't exist anymore in the popular zeitgeist anymore. Yep. We like to call them, as black people, as holes in the wall. Yep. That those things exist. You know what grinds let me do the first one. You know what's grinding my beans is that we do not have things because y'all sit up here and made gentrified things, so our holes in the wall aren't even known anymore. They soak. Yo, remember the Black Donut Shop all the way out there? It's now in Killingsworth, but you know we had a Black Donut Shop.
My homeboy owned that. It's Angels now.
Angels, yes, Angels. I'm
Angels now, but it used to be my homeboy owned it.
Yo, I'm
Shout
dying.
out Kylo.
We had
my first lowrider from him.
we used to have these things called holes in the walls that were our community treasures that we knew to go to. It was like you fed our family for years. You were like our big mama because we sit up here and got a plate from you for a reasonable price that if we had to get it 5 days a week, guess what? We could get it 5 days a week and afford it. But y'all motherfuckers gentrified our neighborhoods and sit up here and turned a hot plate that might have been $5-7 into being a $14 now $21
chicken leg and a
chicken leg and a thigh. And guess what? Lady that used to sit up here and cook that, brother used to sit up here and cook that, don't even cook that no more.
Well, you know, when you talk about Chinese, one of the craziest things, I don't know if you remember. You remember Hung Farlow?
Hell yeah.
So you know Hung Farlow, that was the the Republic, and a couple other places around Portland where when you wanted Chinese food, that's where all the black people, you know, if you were at your friend's house getting Chinese food.
There was even the dim sum spot that was across the street from Republic Cafe.
Exactly. And that was they had the gold, was it something drag where they had the strip club in there too.
Oh,
next to it. But that's why I say about Eastern Cathay, people don't know, Eastern Cathay has the same shrimp recipe as Hung Farlow. Only place you're going to get it. On 82nd and Halsey. So,
Well, I know what I'll be doing this evening.
yeah, and the fried rice too. So like and the pork. So I think they have the same chef that Hung Farlow used to have, because Hung Farlow moved down on 82nd first, and it wasn't the same. But Eastern Cathay somehow got
Like in the J District.
down on Division.
Yeah. Man. All right. So what is your grinds your beans?
What grinds my beans, and this is a serious one for the city, is the loss of young black life in Portland is what's grinding my beans.
Yo, tell them, bro. Tell them.
Because it starts to impact our community, and for me, I've watched over the last probably 10 years, I mean, even before that, like it used to be, it was because I lost my brother early on, my younger brother early on. And then as we start getting further and further, then it becomes, of course, your homies, your people next to you. But then it starts to become a little younger, like cats a little under you. Now it's becoming this, my friends' kids that aren't getting a chance to live their lives. And it's to the point where you watching people's families be dramatically impacted. It creates huge rifts in our community. And I feel like that right there is one of the things that really, really sits heavy. Not even just, man, when we talk about grinding my beans, sits heavy on my heart, because it's so much loss right now. It's so much death. And then I have a song called Pain. Mm-hmm. And the song Pain is really just about the pain that causes in our community. Like, you're not just, like, say we look at street violence, you look at, oh, they shot this gang member. That gang member got a mother, he got a little sister, he got an auntie, he got cousins. So now, boom, this family has all these shockwaves. So as I watch, like, some of my friends' kids lose their lives, I'm watching all these shockwaves. Boom. I'm watching the mother, got to sit here and watch somebody's mama, or even talking to one of my partners who they son and they lost. You know what I mean? They don't know, man, I don't know what to do. Or they got a little sister. The little sister don't, it's like, why did they kill my brother and things like that. So I would say that's what's grinding my beans right now, because everything else is just like, it's whatever. You feel me? But
it's, when you say that, it reminds me right now, and we're going to go a little bit longer because I need you to speak on this for real. It's, with all the shootings that have been going on and how the media is portraying it within Portland, I feel like there's a disconnect within the youth community that's out here right now, participating in those, especially the ones that were happening in Chinatown pretty heavy and everything else, that it's a disconnect from the OGs.
Well, to a certain degree that is the case, but the thing is, the youngsters now are starting to have their own lives. Like, it's hard to talk to a young man now. Put it this way, when you were 20, 21, even 18, 19, you didn't have a debit or a credit card. You didn't have a Benz. You didn't have iPhone with access to go buy a flight to go to Vegas and get now I got my debit card. I can get a room at the Cosmo and whatever else. So it's hard to go to some of these young dudes when some of these young dudes are successful in their own right, to where they feel like they're their own man. And to a certain degree, when you come to them from a certain angle, you got to be careful how you approach them, because they're a lot more advanced than like, oh, you going to listen to the big homie and I'm telling you. And it's like,
I'm going to put you on game.
Yeah, but it's like, nah, bro, I just got back from checking. I'm sitting on $50,000 of my own dollars, got my own car, my own apartment.
You want to look what my passport look like?
Yeah, when you see a young dude, you wake up, you see some of these young dudes, bro, they in Miami they on a pieced up, they on a yacht with girls twerking, and he 22. Like, how you gonna go? You know what I mean? How you gonna tell a 22-year-old that's that advanced, like, man, you need to listen to me? Like, bro, I'm out here seeing the world. I'm getting money. I'm doing this and that. It's like we either have to like try to create opportunity or platforms, or also just a sense of like, it goes deeper than that. It goes into a sense of unity and respect for our community and for our people.
But that's the thing, is you got to respect your OGs. Your OG doesn't need to sit up here and have a bankroll in his pocket X amount long. You can have an OG that sit up here and just experience the game and can be like, yo, dude, this is where I went wrong. You ain't going to do this. And we just, like, I feel like that's the part that doesn't, isn't existing right now within some of the communities and some of these. Once again, we got a lot of transplants.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people that sit up here and get clicked up with people that, old Portland don't fuck with new Portland, especially when we talking about Black Portland. And I had like some of the, some of our elders sit up here and talk to me and be like, yo, we ain't messing with this. And these people are coming through here, and these people are buying houses, or these people are doing X, Y, and Z. And the biggest one that got me was like, you do realize that we don't have anything in our neighborhoods anymore for us to go to. So when we go out, we have to sit up here and commingle with people that don't come from around our block, or that are from different neighborhoods, and that's not your first seeing them, but you know them around the way and everything else, and it's like, hey, you shot my brother, you from the clique that did this, and then it becomes this point where we're stuck because, for lack of a better way to say it, there's so much, like, these are the only places where Black people can go, that we sit up here and get around each other, that we, like, and we end up doing stuff that we don't need to be doing.
Heinous deeds to one another. And I think that's where, that's the difference of when you go to, and of course there's violence everywhere. There's violence in Florida, there's violence but if you go certain places in Texas, and you're around a whole bunch of Black people, the respect and certain love is different. Even if you go to New York, certain events, I think, like you said, but then there's also the age separation too, where you say, old Portland don't fuck with new Portland and vice versa. And that's more so what I'm saying is when you have some of these young guys and you go try to talk to them and they're like, well, what have you done today? Like, I'm the new face. I'm the new, and they have.
I run the town.
Like, because that's the thing. Like, I do what I do and I'm who I am, but there's a whole new wave of young dudes that are promoting and buying clubs, and you know what I'm saying? You walk in the club, they the face, they got tables and bottles, and they're that guy. So it's hard to, like, you can talk to them, but it's hard to, like, to tell them you need to do this when, man, I'm pretty successful in my own right.
I got money.
I got money. I'm doing this, or I know what I'm doing, And they don't even have to be gang members. They could just be little dudes is getting money. Little dudes.
They're in the culture.
Yeah, they're in the culture. They live in their life. They hustlers. They could be whatever. So it's a thing where I think the biggest thing is us getting to a point where we have a certain level of respect for just our people overall as a whole, Black people as a whole. When we go somewhere, we all, just like one of the most disturbing things, we walk up in somewhere and you see another person of color, and you walk in face-to-face with them, and they put their head down and won't say.
We'll give you the
nod.
Whenever
I'm somewhere, if I see a Black woman or a Black man, we in the store or whatever, I always try to make it a point. Hey, what's up? You know what I'm saying? And we have to have that type of pride. We have to have that type of connection to each other and that type of respect, because the more you have all this death, like you said, the hatred, the resentment and all that starts to become generational, where, like you said, when you said, oh, no, he from over there, then it don't just become he did it. It becomes them people. Like if you in a war, like Vietnam, you got to go through and weave through, like, are you the Viet Cong? Are you
from the north? You from the south?
Yeah.
Who are you with?
Who you with?
Are you? And see, that's the thing that, like, when you say that, that's why we wanted to start this thing called Black Drip Fridays, and I might honestly really need your help on it, to sit up here and just be like a Black event that does not involve alcohol, where people, not just women, not just men, can all come together, get a cup of coffee, we pay for it, and just be around each other.
That's dope.
From all communities.
And that's what, and that's how it should be. Like, we need to have a certain amount, and we do. Like, some of us do, but we all need to have.
But it's old, new Portland, from here, there, because it's also a thing, and we'll cap it off with this. It's crazy to me that people don't realize that we were displaced out of Chinatown. We got to Delta Park. We went to being on Vancouver and in Mississippi and everything else. And then they pushed us out to the numbers.
Yep.
There was already Black people in the numbers. There was already communities out there that were different and that had their own stuff going on. You gentrifying it while also moving all the black people out there, and you're wondering why there's so much conflict and it keep going back into the city. You know why? Because they don't feel safe in the numbers to be in their own community at night, so they try to go into the city and sit up here and do stuff, and then you question why things happen because they have no other place to go.
Yeah, and that was the thing, growing up and growing up in Northeast Portland, you did have a sense of community. You did have a sense of like the MLK. You did have your corner store. Even, growing up, my friends lived next door. We caught the bus to school together. We rode bikes together, and there was that sense of belonging. You rode around the corner. There might be the older dudes that looked out for you, and, or your neighbor lady who, baby, tell your grandma. We don't have that no more. Like you said, everybody's so dispersed. Then you got people living in all these apartments. Nobody has no land with yards. You don't have neighbors that your kids can go stay the night at, or they sitting on the porch and, can stay out. And so I feel like that's where we got to get. And I don't know, I don't know how you accomplish it, of getting everybody on the same page, because that would reflect in business. That would reflect in our positions of generational wealth. That would reflect in just our overall power as a people on a national level of being able to like move and create situations that benefit not just us but benefit everybody and come from our
once again the culture.
In the culture,
I think that the one thing we just need to start doing events with that. It isn't a race to see who's the black person that's going to do that event, which I think is a horrible thing that keeps happening in the cities. Like, hey, it's this black time of the year. Yeah. What black person's gonna do the black event? Yeah. Oh, okay, there's Martin 5 of them.
King celebration, Juneteenth.
Yo, Juneteenth, like that. We'll talk about that another time. Anyways, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. We ain't get to 10. We need like 18 more. Back in the day stories. We need to know what was it like doing the first music video. We need all that kind of stuff.
I'm down to come back and talk about all that, because there's a whole.
We don't even know how you got on the radio.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we need to bring that back, because there's so much. There's so much.
You got a long history. This is just the part 1 of a 4-part docuseries about Coolnutz. Yeah. Did we even talk about how you met Fat Boy? Oh, dang. Sorry, homie. But yeah, anyways, man, I'm so happy to have you on the show.
His birthday was this week too.
Oh shoot. Yeah. Hey, yo, happy birthday, Fat Boy.
Fat Boy. Big shout out to the trap. Big shout out to all my bros, Maniac Loke, everybody. Bosco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. All right. So this has been another episode of Your Morning Drip. I am your host, Ronin Rock. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 until 10. But this one we're doing a little special thing on, a little sauce on it. This is the incredible, the OG, the legend, the man, Coolnutz. Let them know where they can find you. Let them know your social and all that.
Everything is at Coolnutz, just COOLNUTZ. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. And then also tune into the Northwest Breakout Show Sunday nights, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Jammin' 107.5, and you can stream it anywhere in the country on iHeartRadio. We play local music, national breakout records, and stuff that you don't hear typically on mainstream radio. So yeah, tap in with us, man.
Don't worry, we're gonna end up having Coolnutz just right over here in the DJ booth. He's gonna select music. He's gonna be a selector. But yeah, that's what we got going on. So thank y'all for tuning in. This is another episode of Your Morning Drip. We'll see you. We out of here. Peace.